I have a number of clients and colleagues that I've introduced the diamond to, and I've got some that haven't quite had an opportunity to connect with the diamond. So if you were going to explain the importance of the diamond for leadership in business and in public service, how would you summarise that in 10 minutes?
What I have tried to do is to produce an image, a diagram, a model, a meta-model, a worldview, some idea which is, to me, the most efficient, economical, and I think responsible way to teach what philosophy teaches. This is what the history of ideas, the history of civilization adds up to. So I started with what I call a map of being, and to make it more expensive, I call it an ontograph. Say there is a 12-point diagram of what I really think it means to be a human being with a task that has to be accomplished, that can be applied to the nitty-gritty. And I call that a description of what it means to exist as a human being in the world. It's a description. Like science, it describes what's going on. It creates a taxonomy of what's going on, and then divide this up into component parts. And we take one part out and say, now let's look at this first. And let's take the simplest part first, and let's apply it to your business today in such a way that your business is going to double its sustainability. And sustainability doesn't mean that it's going to necessarily foster green trees, although that's part of it, but it's going to foster its own survival. Right. It fosters your survival, the survival of the business, the survival of the nation, and the survival of the planet. It's all one great chain of being, as we call it, and it's simply the same thing cloned into ever larger and larger possibility.
Well, I think that's amazing, because that really, what that does is that puts the context. Now, if we could just pick out the leadership diamond itself, the outer diamond, what would you say about that to somebody, the importance of that? You've begun to talk about that.
Out of the pieces that we pick out of that total picture for examination, the first one is what we call the outer diamond, or leadership capacity, which is made up of what we call either four critical success factors, four critical success factors, 4 agenda items, I like that expression, 4 agenda items, 4 ways of being oriented or orientated towards the world. And these are capacities, these are skills, if you want, these are things we learn that are very different one from the other, and we've given them names. They are clusters of things, maybe Platonic ideas for people who are into philosophy. They are clusters of things that are differentiated from each other. And we have to learn how to master these different types of skills. We call the first one, let me say ethics. Ethics. Ethics is a skill, and we talked to you about ethics, what that may be. It essentially is, how do you deal with the people phenomenon in your life? Now, the people phenomenon is a key part, and maybe the most difficult part in your life. And we'll have a few simple ways of saying, how do you master that people phenomenon and connect it to all the other agenda items and create a successful life, successful leadership for yourself, successful products, successful sales talks. We put that all together. So we start, let's say, with ethics. The next one, the next agenda point, or the next critical success factor would be reality. Now, reality is very different from ethics. Reality has to do with nature, it has to do with money, it has to do with illness, it has to deal with war, it has to deal with poverty and wealth, it has to deal with the things over which we have limited control, but that are terribly important to us. Illness, the weather, that's reality. The way your car is functioning, that's reality. Now, the attitude you take towards reality is a little different than one that you take towards your children, whom you love dearly, and you'll sacrifice anything for your children, or your parents, or your spouse, or your friends. But reality is fixed. Reality may not care about you, may not respond to you, and so reality is very different. And so we have to also learn how to deal with reality without forgetting about the people. Now this is balancing, juggling two balls, not just one. And then we get to a third ball that we have to juggle. It gets more complicated. You're fortunate that there are only four that you have to deal with, is vision. Now vision is what you can imagine, not what is real, not what is loving, but what could be that maybe nobody has thought about. Now an animal might understand love, maybe. They have feelings, that's fine. And as little ones, they may have some understanding of that. And may have an understanding of reality, probably a big one, that's danger. And run away from that or attack it or whatever. Vision, probably not. Vision is the outer cortex. Vision has something to do with that which I don't see, but which is possible. Possible. And then the fourth one, remember what's flying around now, is ethics. Belonging is reality, security. It is vision, achievement. And now the fourth one, to complete the diamond, we call courage, identity. Now we don't have to give them in that order. They all matter. Ethics as belonging matters. Vision, reality as security matters. Vision as achievement matters. And courage as identity matters. And if anybody questions those four dimensions in you, you will be very upset. You know, I don't think you're an honest person. No, that's a terrible thing to say to you. That means the ethics corner isn't working. Or reality, you don't have a clue. And you always know that you're talking about real stuff when people are ready to punch you in the nose, you know. Or achievement, well, you're an underachiever, let's face it, and why don't you adapt yourself to that, adjust yourself. You're an underachiever, okay? So don't expect a promotion in this company. This is going to make your day, this conversation. You know? And when it comes to identity, you know what they tell me about you is that when you don't show up, they don't even notice that you're not there. Doesn't make any difference if you're there or not, they don't see you. Now, I probably have ruined your life now and ruined our relationship forever for even bringing up these possibilities. But that tells you something about the power with which we're dealing. Now, those are philosophical themes.
That's really powerful, Peter.
Thank you. Now, that's sort of a given. People know that. Now, our job is to find ways now to make that actionable, operational, because those components are involved whenever there's a problem. They are risk factors.
Right.
You have huge risk factors in ethics.
So if I'm not paying attention to one of those aspects of the diamond, then something's going to come unstuck in my life or my leadership.
It's highly probable. And basically they say whatever you're doing with your business has that one of these components in it, and there's a connection between that underlying component and your business transaction right now. And if you don't know that connection, you will not do well. That's sort of my dime answer.
That's really, thank you, Peter. I know it's a difficult question to answer briefly because it's a deep subject and we could talk for hours about that, I know.
But don't stop there.
No, not going to stop there. That's just an introduction and that's the purpose of this tape, to give people a flavour.
Extending the conversation, we deepened it.
Yeah, deepened it,
yes. And we got it better both ways.
Absolutely, and a different lens, a different analysis.
I like that.
Yeah, me too.
Very much, okay.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
People there.
Yeah, thank you.